in the last couple of years, PTR has made a killing off of bringing back the HK91 or G3 style platform, or also known as a set meat, you know, whatever. This general design has actually been very popular, and it's actually influencing a lot of manufacturers to make aftermarket parts for it. Stocks, you know, some people are looking at making magazines for them now apparently. You got forearms or handguards being made. You've also got some companies that are trying to make better charging handles, muzzle brakes. A lot of aftermarket parts are being, you know, made for this rifle right now, and I think that's only going to grow. So when I first got this rifle, it was a PTR91 GI. It had an 18-inch barrel. It had the thinner handguard here, and when I first got this rifle, I thought, oh, I'll have a long-range rifle, it'll be .308, it'll be like a battle rifle, I can do anything with it, right? Well, the more I shot it, the more I wanted to kind of use it as a fighting rifle primarily, a closer rifle, kind of like you would use an SBR for. You know, it's a CQB rifle, anything under 100 meters or so, and you can even take it out to 200 or whatever. But in general, I wanted to basically set this thing up to shoot very fast and to be as durable as it can be. And I did a few modifications to where I could work it a lot faster than I could when it was stock. So let's go over a few of the things that the factory did for me, just inherently as they were increasing their production and upgrading, and also some of the things I requested that they do for me and I did myself. Alright, let's start off from what I did myself for modifications. First thing that I did was I kept the 18-inch barrel when it was first an original PTR91 GI model, and it was very neutered compared to now. I attached a bayonet port right here. In the front, it's usually just a standard cap, a polymer cap, and I installed the bayonet attachment. So, and I got a bayonet, and when it was an 18-inch barrel, it was fine. I could hook it up, but not anymore. So that's no good. The next thing I did was I bought a extended and polymer-based charging handle. It was extended out to about here, and it made reloads a lot easier, but I still broke it. I used this gun like a fighting rifle, so it didn't really last as long as you would think it would, so I ended up having to go to the one I have now, which is an all steel one, which I'll get to in a second. But I also dropped some cash. It was like $100 or $200 to get the wide forearm grip, and they're always like limited in stock. They're pretty hard to find, but it's a lot less expensive than going to an aluminum rail that'll add weight and etc. And I know you guys have probably seen the video where I showed what it looked like underneath here, where the polymer up front was kind of melted off and fused to the barrel. It didn't really do anything wrong. I could never feel the heat coming through here, and it didn't compromise the integrity of the handguard. It's just that this barrel is thicker in profile under here than a standard barrel, so it's going to make contact where it wouldn't normally. So this is actually a pretty good rail if you have like the 18-inch variant. The next thing I did was I attached the tack latch right here. So instead of having the paddle where you push forward, you have the tack latch where you push to the right. And it's good for a right-handed person, not so good for left-handed people. You'd have to come back around and push there. But if you're left-handed, I would stick with the button that's on the other side here. That way, if you're left-handed, you can just grab the magazine and touch the button and take it out. So that's just a little thing I put on the rifle, but I did have to get a grinder, like a knife sharpener, electronic knife sharpener, and cut out the metal in the mag well a little bit to fit in the parts. And it was kind of a tedious process, but I was able to do it in about 10 minutes, so it wasn't really too bad. But it can be a pain for some people. The next thing I did was I bought extra furniture, OD. I got one that had an enhanced buffer on it from HK Parts. It really wasn't much more than the original one. The regular buffer as I've talked about before in my other videos, is really small. It's really small, and it's good for, you know, designated marksman rifles where you're, or, you know, long range shooting where you're not going to shoot it that much. But given the fact that people like me shoot this gun like it's a fighting rifle, like a like an AR-15, if you will, or AR-15 style rifle, you shoot it a lot, and that buffer is going to start taking a lot of hits. So it was necessary for them to upgrade to the enhanced buffer, but I did it before, just before they started producing these with enhanced buffers. And actually, funny story is, my old one, the one with the old buffer, I had put it back in the rifle until it wore out to upgrade to the enhanced buffer. And when the guide rod here that has the recoil spring, when it wore out, what happened was the weld on the other side snapped because of how I was shooting the gun. It was constantly smashing against the back plate here, which should never happen. That's the point of the buffer, so it never makes contact. It's an extremely strong spring, and it should be. But it basically caused so much shock to the back plate that it actually snapped the weld. And so when I sent it in, they put on an enhanced buffer inside the stock and sent it back to me, and they replaced the whole thing, really. But it was kind of funny to learn that they upgraded to the enhanced buffer. I found out that way. But other than that, I didn't really do much to this rifle. Most of the other stuff was done on request by PTR. So the next thing that I did for this rifle was I called PTR and I said, you know what, I like the 18-inch barrel, but this thing gets hot pretty quickly, and I would like to kind of take that down a bit and see if you have a thicker barrel, something that can hold the heat a lot better, or handle the heat a lot better, because I didn't think that it was going to come bleed through the wide forearm grip, because it hadn't, but I was worried about the integrity of the barrel overall. So I asked if they had any, you know, thicker barrels, and they said, yeah. So what length would you like? And I was like, well, how about a 16-inch? I wasn't really thinking about my bayonet at the time, but they said, okay, well, go ahead and send it in, or we'll give you a label, send it in, and we'll take care of it. They went ahead and replaced the standard 18-inch barrel with a bull barrel, and they also, while they had it in there, I was also wanting to get this all steel charging handle on because of how destructive I was with all the other ones. I had to exchange them out 3 times. I had to replace them 3 times because of how much I was shooting the rifle. I called PTR and I told them that I wanted this part installed while they were switching out the barrel, and that's what they did for me. They got the part in, they switched it out for me, and during the end of that time when it was in the shop, about a month, because they were doing some transitions going to South Carolina, I said, you know what, I want to start mounting an optic on here, and I was wondering if you guys knew anything about the claws, or if I should just have you guys put on a rail. And they basically just said, you know, for this amount of money we can go ahead and attach a rail for you and weld it on, and, you know, make sure that it's all good and secure. So I said, yeah, go ahead. All in all, it was only a couple $100s to have this whole thing done. You know, you pay for the barrel, you pay for the labor, and the labor to have this attached, you know, whatever. It really wasn't that much money to get all this done, which would have been a heck of a pain to do it myself. But overall, these modifications are very minimalist, if you will. I was experimenting some with the bayonet. I can't use it anymore because I have a 16-inch barrel instead of an 18-inch barrel. And I don't have any other muzzle brake on here. I did experiment with a PWS, but that didn't really go anywhere. It wasn't really my favorite. But as far as this sling goes, I had a 3-point sling for this rifle, and I wasn't really into the 3-point sling, so I cannibalized the back part here so I could loop it through the stock. And then I used 550 cord for this area instead of just using this piece of metal, or this little metal hook. But I have my 2-point sling now, so I'm pretty happy with that. It's kind of weird that I would do that, I know, but that's just how I've got it now. So anyways, I'm pretty happy with my setup right now. A lot of people are wanting the metal trigger group body, and I can understand that. You can customize the grips, etc. There's a lot of aftermarket parts out there, and it's gonna grow. It's only gonna grow from here, I can tell you that. We may even see polymer magazines for this gun, so just keep a lookout for that. But thanks a lot for watching. If you have any questions, you know where to put them.